Welcome everyone to part 11 in our series of study on the book of Revelation. So we saw last time that this gospel is going to be preached through all the world, all the nation, and then will come the end. So we saw the end was not talking about the Jesus coming to take his church, like the rapture or the last day. It talked about the end of the world. So what is the end of the world? We saw in part 2 that the harvest was the end. So we're going to just read that back, just to refresh our memory. In Matthew 13, verse 37 to 43, it talks about the tares and the wheat. So verse 37, He answers and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, the good seeds are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. So you see, we see here that the end of the world is the harvest. So this gospel is going to be preached, then will come the end. And we saw last lesson that it was the angel who preached the gospel, then will come the end. So all the theory that, if the church preach to all nation the gospel, then will accelerate the return of Jesus. That has nothing to do. The scenario we see in the Bible, it's after the rapture. There's 3 years and a half, or even more. Daniel talked about 1290 days. The angels, just before the end, will preach the gospel, and the end will come. So we see the harvest is the end. And the reapers are the angels. End of 39. 40. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be yelling and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let them hear. So we see there's the evil will be removed. So we saw that in part 2 when Jesus is coming as a thief. So there's 3 steps for the tar. First, they will going to be removed. They will be put in bundle to be burned. So gather them to be burned. So the wheat is the children of the kingdom. That's the rest of the posterity. So we saw that in the previous part. The firstborn, that's the church, is raptured. But all those will accept Christ after the last day. So during the night period, like the 5 virgin in the Matthew 25 parable. All these will be the children of the kingdom, the wheat. They will become friends of the groom in eternity. So let's look at Revelation 14, verse 14 to 20. So we saw in the previous lesson that the angel were preaching the gospel through all nations in verse 6. And then will come the end, like we saw in Matthew 24. So let's look at the end, or the harvest. So verse 14. And I looked, and behold a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So the harvest, that's the end. You see, the angel preach the gospel, then the end will come. So the end is the harvest. Verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which has power over fire, and cried with a loud voice to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grape are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So you see in verse 19, it says the great winepress of the wrath of God. So we see that the harvest, it's about the judgment of God. It's about the evil getting removed. A lot of misinterpretation saw that harvest at the end of the world like a big awakening. There's a lot of people who preach there will be a huge awakening just before Jesus' return, and it points toward the harvest here. But if you look at the Bible as a whole, there's no big awakening at the end of time. It's the other way around. Jesus says, when I'll come back, will it even ask if there will be some faith or love left. Paul talked about the apostasy as well, which is like the abandon of faith. So there won't be a big awakening. The only verse that they point to is that verse about the harvest. Yeah, but this harvest that is referring in Revelation 14 talk about the evil that has been removed, like in Matthew 13. They say like because of the wrath of God, because they're wicked. If you look at Joel 3, verse 12 to 14, you'll see a similar scenario. Talk about the harvest. So verse 12. Let the heaven be wakened, and come up to the valley of Josaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. So you see, talk about the harvest, not like a big awakening. No, talk about the harvest because the press is full. The fat overflow, for their wickedness is great. So you see, harvest is about removing the evil. Look at verse 14. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So we see here there's the valley of multitude. There's the harvest because their wickedness is great. So this passage is clearly related to Matthew 13 when he talks about the harvest, that the evil will be removed, to put in bundle, to be burned. So let's see, the gather of the tar is by the angels. The angels come and gather the tar. So it takes time. It's not like in a twinkling of an eye or blinking of an eye like the rapture. This takes time. They have to collect all and remove them and gather into the valley of decision. The multitude, like Joel says. So let's see at Revelation 16. So you see the gathering take times. Take like 2 chapters to gather the evil one to the valley of Armageddon. Let's look at Revelation 16, 14 to 16. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and to the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches, and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And he gathered them into a place called in Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So we see we can put our finger in as Jesus come as a thief is in Revelation 16:15. Jesus come as a thief in the night. So you see that confirm what we discussed in part 2, that Jesus is coming as a thief in the night. That has nothing to do with the rapture. It has nothing to do with the last day and the resurrection of saints. It's occur at night. So at night it's after the last day. Jesus coming as a thief in the night is about the judgment. It's about the harvest. It's about the gathering of the evil one in the valley of decision, the Armageddon valley that Joel refers to. A lot of movies like Left Behind and a lot of scenario about Revelation, they always put Armageddon battle at the beginning of the what they call the 7 years of tribulation. But that has nothing to do with that, because we see here it's at the end. The harvest is the end. It takes 2 chapters to gather in bundle to be burned, and they will be burned in Armageddon. So Jesus was referring that in Matthew 24 when it says one going to be taken, one left. To 2 in a meal, one will be taken, one left. And the disciple asked, where, Lord? It's like where the corpse are, that's where the birds are going to be. So you see that talk about the removal of the evil one. So they will be influenced by devils to gather in Armageddon to fight. So it won't be like in the blinking of an eye. It will be like a lot of people will be pushed, influenced by all these devils to come gather to Armageddon for the great battles. And look at the wording here in Revelation 16. It talk about like white cloth, keep his garment. Remember the letter of Laodicean church when they say they were going to be thrown out of God's mouth, that they are naked, and Jesus tells them like go buy some gold, trial in fire, that they can have like white clothes. So the trial, so that's the church that has been left behind. And they will be trial. Why? Because there will be a lot of judgment. There will be a lot of temptation. There will be a lot of challenges through these chapters. So it will be like gold trial on fire. So they are the remnant of her seed, discussed in Revelation 12, that the dragon tried to destroy them. So let's look at Luke 17:36 to 37. So 2 men shall be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Lord? So you see the disciple ask where they will be taken. And he says unto them, Wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagle be gathered together. So the disciple ask where they will be taken, and a lot of people think that's the rapture. No, because they ask where they're going to be taken. And Jesus says, look at the birds. When the eagles will gather, that's where the body are. So let's look at Revelation 19. So we see that the harvest is chapter 14. So for 2 chapters, they are gathered together in the valley of Armageddon. We see that in 16:16. Then 17:18, it's a parenthesis that talk about Babylon. And if we look at Revelation 19, 17 to 19. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that flies in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourself together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and all of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast, and the kings of the earth, and their army, gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. So, we see here the scenario, the Armageddon, all the wicked, all the tars, is gathered in one place, in the valley of decision. Multitude in the valley of decision that Joel is referring to. And it's referring to the harvest. And then an angel called all the birds to eat the corpse. We have more detail in Ezekiel 39, verse 17 to 20. And thou, son of man, thus says the Lord God, Speak unto every feathering fowl, and to every beast of the field, Assemble yourself and come. Gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh, and drink blood. Ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the prince of the earth, of ram, of lamb, and of goat, of bullock, and all of them fatling of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken, of the sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. Thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses, and chariot, and mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Lord. So you see, we have an identical scenario here. So, to recap, the harvest is the end of the world. So the angel preached to all nations, then will come the end. The end is the harvest, according to Matthew 13. All the evil are taken away, to put in bundle, to be burned. So put in bundle is to gathering in one place. So that's the valley of Armageddon that we see in Revelation 16. So every wicked one is gathering in Armageddon, and the fire of God consumed them, so to be burned. So the tars is burned. And we see after an angel calling all the birds to eat the corpse. So now we understand more when Jesus says, like, for 2 in the field, 1 will be taken, 1 will be left. The 1 will be left is the children of the kingdom. So the remnant of her seed, those who became Christian after the last day, so after the rapture, they will be staying there. But the evil will be gathered in Armageddon. They will be influenced by devils to go there. And then they will be consumed, and all the corpses that are there, the birds are gathering. So when the disciple asks Jesus where they will be taken, Jesus says where the birds are, or the eagles are, that's where the bodies are. So we see in Revelation 19 that it's actually bird, that the angels call all the birds to feast among the corpse and the dead people, or the dead tars, that has been consumed at the battle of Armageddon. So we're going to stop here for now, and we'll continue our lesson in part 12.